over and over and over again. That's probably what runs through your mind when you're playing old school RuneScape, waiting for that big drop to finally hit. In a way, that's a little bit like gambling, isn't it? Hear me out. You're gambling your time, the most valuable currency that you have, in the hope that your loot justifies the time spent on any given boss or skill. And when you get that drop, oh baby, you're glad you put that 30-hour coin into a slot machine branded as a children's point-and-click adventure game from 2001. So with this in mind, let's take a look at some of the rarest drops in the game and how long you'll need to invest to get these items. The Dragon Warhammer, absolutely not the rarest drop in the game, but let's set the scene and take a look at this item. Run around the room, avoid the purple dudes, and kill the Lizardman Shaman for a 1 in 5,000 chance of getting the drop. If you've been on this grind, you know how grueling it can seem. What you might not know, those 5,000 kills you've done only give you, statistically speaking, a 63% chance of seeing the drop. And to get this likelihood to say 98%, you need to kill over 20,000 Lizardman Shamans. So you know this now, and you still want to grind to hit the drop rate. How long is that going to take you? Well, assuming you're getting 125 kills an hour, it'll take you around 40 hours to hit the drop rate. Easily doable within a couple of weeks if you just do a few hours every day. But with this out of the way, we have far more important items to look at here. What is the drop rate of an egg? Well, for old school RuneScape, they're actually pretty common. Roughly 1 in every 25 imp kills should net you an egg, but there's also a whole bunch of guaranteed spawns all over Gillinor. But what about in real life? Okay, bear with me for just a moment. We're looking for rare drops here, so I just want to know what the rare egg drop is. Specifically, what is the drop rate of getting 2 yolks in 1 egg? Luckily, the British Egg Information Service, which apparently is a real thing, estimates that 1 out of every 1,000 eggs will have 2 yolks. Compared to our Dragon Warhammer, that's pretty common, isn't it? Here's a fun fact about eggs with 2 yolks. They usually come from young hens between the ages of 20 and 28 weeks old. So, if we wanted to go back to back on the double yolk drop, given that these eggs have realistically come from the same flock, it's somewhat likely to happen. What about getting a full 6-egg carton of double yolks? Well, there's a lot of conflicting information out there. One source I found had it as high as 1 in 1 quintillion, but luckily for you, I've done the math. Math that was scribbled on the back of a napkin. Math that might not be necessarily 100% accurate thanks to the fact that we don't know the probability curve, but it tells me that it's roughly 1 in 1 billion. With this in mind, given that there's 1.1 trillion eggs produced every year, we can therefore expect that, on average, there's roughly 220 cartons of 6 eggs yearly that have nothing but double yolkers inside. If you've cracked more than 2 eggs in a row before, maybe it's time to stop wasting your RNG on eggs and put it into video games instead. So, what's the rarest drop in old school RuneScape? For PVM, if you've ever done an elite clue scroll, chances are you've rolled the dice for 2 of the rarest drops in the game. Killing an Armadillo or Bandos guard as part of an elite clue step gives the chance to the Armadillo helmet and Bandos boots, each of which are at a drop rate of 1 in a million. If we look specifically at the Bandos boots, if you have a reliable way of getting and completing an elite clue scroll every hour, kill an average of 1 Bandos or Armadillo guard as part of each clue scroll, and by my calculation are a 25-year-old male that has more time up their sleeve than usual currently, I think you could dedicate around 16 hours a day to this. To hit the 1 in a million drop rate, it would take you close to 150 years to complete this grind. Oh. How's that for some perspective? You might look at this 1 in 1 million chance and think it's incredibly unlikely, and you know what? It probably is. You're more likely to get struck by lightning, find a 4-leaf clover, or get injured by a toilet than you are to get the Bandos boots from an elite clue step. On the flip side, you're much more likely to get the Bandos boots than you are to, say, die in a plane crash, or win the lottery, or even crack half a dozen eggs, all with double yolks. You know, old school RuneScape has its own carton of eggs, complete with a double yoker. And the time it would take to get that double yoker? That's something else. Deep below Falador, in the Motherlode mine, a man named Prospector Percy runs a small mining operation, where you can spend nuggets you earn on the job for a bag full of gems. Each bag contains an assortment of 40 gems, sapphires, rubies, diamonds, but also the uncut onyx. The uncut onyx, RuneScape's double yolked egg has a drop rate of 40 times 1 in 100 million. In practice, this means that every bag full of gems has a 1 in 2.5 million chance of containing an onyx, making it the single rarest drop in the game. You might have recently seen that a very lucky old school player got this drop, and that in itself is incredible given the rarity of this item. But what if you tried to reach the drop rate? Well, factoring in the 3 hours it takes on average to get Percy's 40 golden nuggets, and assuming that, like our clue scroll example, you do this for 16 hours a day, it would take you over a millennium to reach this drop rate. But that's not enough for you, is it? You want the carton full of double yolks. Could we see a bag full of onyxes? On paper, yeah, and if you manage to get it at the current Grand Exchange prices, you'd get a cool 100 mil or thereabouts. But if we look at how long that takes in practice? If you tried to hit the drop rate of obtaining a bag full of gems containing nothing but onyxes, somehow through sheer willpower and divine magic cheated death, playing the game for 24 hours a day, 365 days a year for the entire duration, it would take 3.43 times 10 to the power of 306 years. That number is incredibly hard to come to terms with. Written on screen, it is a number with over 300 zeros on the end of it. For comparison, the age of our universe is only 13.7 billion years, just these last 11 digits on the end. And, based on the heat death theory of the universe's ultimate fate, the universe is expected to survive for 10 to the power of 106 years. Keep this number in mind for later. Getting the gem bag full of onyxes is way more unlikely than just getting a full carton of eggs with double yolks. If you opened 1 billion cartons of eggs in a row, and all of them contained nothing but double yolks, you're not even close to matching this drop rate. On a galactic scale, there are roughly 1 quadrillion stars in the Milky Way alone. If every year was represented by a star, and there were 1 quadrillion Milky Ways, you would still only be a tiny, tiny fraction of how many stars you would need to represent this whole number. If this still doesn't put it into perspective, try this on for size. It's estimated that there are 10 to the power of 80 atoms in our observable universe. If, hypothetically, every single atom in existence was an old school RuneScape player, with 4 clients open, digging up pay dirt in the Motherlode mine, with a goal of getting a gem bag full of 40 onyxes. Well, remember that lifespan of the universe? Just how many times over do you think it would take for the atoms to reach the drop rate? 1? 100? Try again. It would take the atoms roughly 8 times 10 to the power of 123 lifespans of the universe, a number with over 100 zeros, just to hit the drop rate. An endless cycle from the dawn of the Big Bang to the universe's final heat death. All of this time for just a 63% chance of seeing the result. On your grind to reach the drop rate, everyone you know and love will have died. Life will emerge from the primordial soup an almost infinite number of times before you hit the lucky 7s on the cosmic slot machine that is grinding for a bag full of onyxes. Civilizations will rise, explore the stars, and fall dark again and again and again. It is an event so statistically unlikely that it's practically impossible, and a number so unfathomable that our tiny monkey brains can barely comprehend its scale. And that's all we are at the end of the day. Monkeys stuck on a rock flying through space at over 10,000 kilometers per hour, playing a point-and-click adventure game from 2001, doomed to spend our entire existence doing the dirty work of a prospector and his mother. An eternity of mine the pay dirt, into the hopper, fix the wheel, of putting your entire paycheck back into your employer, from the moment the first stars were born until the end of entropy when the final star flickers out. Over and over and over again. Oh my god, open the bag! Oh, you've got to see this. You have to. I got the bag full of 40 onyxes.
Wow, yeah, that sounds really cool.
No, you don't understand. It's so rare.
Yeah, okay. Do you want these chicken tendies in the oven now, or is that later?